Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. My name's Angela, I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady, and welcome back to another Stitch a Week. So for this week's Stitch a Week, I'm going to be showing you how to do the cat stitch. And before you say anything, yes, I know, it was purposely done, honestly. Right, sorry, there's a mistake. I missed a stitch. Right, so for this project this week, you are going to need to know how to do a chain, a single, a double crochet, and a drop crochet. Okay, I will show you how to do all of these in this video this week. Now, ideally what you want to be doing is using at least 2 different colours. You could do as many as you wanted and do a really gorgeous rainbow effect, but I've stuck to 2 because running out of scraps. Right, so let's grab our hook, grab our yarn and get on with this week's project. Right, so for today's stitch, it is a multiples of 3 plus 1. That is your turning chain. And of course, our chain count, which is all important and that you guys all need to know, is a 23. It is exactly the same a chain count as a week 9's a double V stitch. All be explained as we move on. So let's get this chaining done. Keep them quite loose. And we are going to chain up 23. Now I'm going to do that off camera because I keep forgetting what number I'm on. Right, so once you have your chain of 23, it's time to start on row number 1. Okay, so for this one we are going to skip 1 chain, and in the second chain from the hook you're going to place a single crochet. Now you're going to do this single crochet all the way along your work, so when you get to the end you will have 22 double crochets. Right, I'll meet you back here in a few moments. Okay, so here we are back for the very last single crochet of our row. Okay, and now on to row number 3. This is our setup row for our V-stitch. So we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we are going to work a double crochet into the same place that chain space came from, and we are going to do that again into the next stitch. Once you've done those, we are going to skip 2 stitches, and into that third stitch we are going to place 2 double crochets. Chain 1 and then place 2 double crochets in the next stitch along. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to skip 2 and place in 2 double crochets and a chain 1. And then into the next stitch 2 double crochets. Onto our next set of stitches. Of course, it's going to be another skip 2 and 2 double crochets, a chain 1. Followed by 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Anybody that's following along with a stitch a week may be experiencing a small amount of deja vu at the moment. That's right, this is exactly the same as setup as a week number 9's double V stitch. And of course, that is what we're doing at the moment, or nearly doing, in this row here. So let's finish off our row with a skip 2, do more double crochets, and chain 1, and place another 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Then we are going to skip 2, and now our next one is a double crochet on its own, and then onto the next stitch, which is our very last one, which can be a bit finicky to get your hands on. It is another double crochet. Okay, so your row should consist of 2 double crochets, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 set up V-stitch, double V stitches, followed by 2 more double crochet at the end. Now we are going to be doing double crochet, 2 double crochets at each end of each row. Let's move on to row number 3. Okay, so for this one again, we are going to chain 1, we are going to turn and place a double crochet in the same spot that chain 1 came out of. The chain 1 will not count as a stitch at all during this entire project today. Right, and then we're going to place another double crochet. Now it's a case of skipping 2 and working around this chain 1. We are going to place a 2 double crochet, chain 1 and 2 double crochet, all into the same place. Okay, now we're going to skip these 2. We are going to skip the next 2. And we are going to work around that chain 1 spot again and place in our stitch pattern, which of course is a 2 double crochets, a chain 1 and 2 double crochets. On to the next stitch. Again, we are skipping 4 and placing a 2 double crochet, chain 1 and 2 double crochet. Okay, again, skip 4, 2 double crochet, chain 1 and 2 double crochet around that chain. Okay, now we're at the end of the row, so it is a case of skipping 2 and then placing a single crochet in the next stitch and another single crochet in that very last stitch. And as you can see, it looks identical to stitch week number 9, and it until this next row. This next row is the row that breaks the mold for this set of stitch work and creates a gorgeous new stitch. Okay, so we are going to take our second colour, and yes, I am working with some extremely random colours this week. Really random. Are you ready for this? Yellow! Oh, yellow and green. Should I really? Should I risk it? Right, okay, so sorry, I should have explained. At the end of your last row, on that very last double crochet pull through, what you want to do is change your yarn to your new colour. So I'm going to take this back a whole double crochet, and then add in my new colour in a second. Okay. So let's pull through 1, grab my yellow, bring it up, okay, and then I'll tie a knot in that in a minute. Ooh, knots, I'm a bad girl. Right, so for this next row, of course, this is row 1 of our repeat. From this point on, all you need to do is drop down into the description box where it will say pattern repeat, and there'll be a number by the side. Click on that number, it'll bring you back to this point right now. Okay, so for this next row, which of course is a row 1 of the repeat, chain 1, turn your work, place a double crochet into that very first spout where the chain one came out of, and then another double crochet into the next stitch. Right, and now for the fun bit. We are going to do a drop stitch. It's taken me a while to actually find out what this stitch was called, but it's called a drop stitch, and what you're going to do is you're going to hook over, you're going to drop down 2 rows, pop your hook through the hole, grab your yarn and pull it up. Now you're going to need to keep this quite loose because you want it to sit in line with your top stitches and you don't want to put too much pressure on. Okay, so we do that once. We're going to hook over again, go through, pull up for 2, hook over, go back down, pull up for 3. So now you will have 7 loops on your hook. We are now going to hook over again and pull your yarn through all 7 loops. Hook over and pull through to finish off the stitch. Now I do that, some people do, some people don't, and they'll work directly into the next stitch. I do that because that helps us in other projects to do increases and other bits and pieces. Right, okay. Now on to our next part of the stitch. That is our double V stitch into the same spot it was in the row below. Okay, so it's 2 double crochets, a chain 1, 2 double crochets. Okay, and that is around that chain 1 space. Okay, now that is the cat stitch, that bit there. Okay, so your first bit is what I lovingly call the paw, which of course is our drop down, and then we have a little cluster of stitches again. So let me show you again. I'm going to work with you all the way along this row anyway. So it's hook over and drop down, scoop up your yarn. Oops, sorry about that. Pull it up so it's a nice height. Hook over, go in, scoop up some more, hook over, back in, scoop up the last. 7 loops on your hook. Hook over, pull through all 7, hook over, pull through to finish. Onto our double V stitch, which is the 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Back down for another paw, so that's hook over, go in through the hole, scoop up your yarn, pull it up, okay, hook over, go through the hole, scoop up some more, hook over, through the hole, scoop up some more. I really shouldn't say scoop, sorry gang, it's just how I say it in my head and it keeps popping out my mouth. So we'll yarn over and we'll pull through all 7 loops on the hook, hook over and pull through to finish off the stitch. Again we do our V stitch, a double V stitch, sorry. So it's the 2 double crochets, a chain and 2 double crochets. Okay, so now I best say this stitch properly, had 9 directions. Hook over, go in through the hole, hook over, pull up a loop. Bring your yarn up to the same height as your stitches, pop your finger on, hook over, go back through the loop, hook over, pull up a loop. 5 on your hook. Hook over, in through the loop, hook over and pull up your loop. 7 on your hook. Hook over, pull through all 7. Hook over, pull through again, finishing off your stitch. Now we will place our last double V stitch for this row. In. And we always start and finish each row of these sets of stitches without a drop down stitch here, so and make sure that that one goes in as well. And yes, I have missed it in when I made my big cat jumper. 3, look over and pull through it all. Right, so and that is that section done, and then we just finish it off, of course, with our 2 double crochets. There we go. Now it's time for our next row. We are going to chain 1, turn our work and place a double crochet into the same spot the chain came out of. Double crochet into the next one. Now we are going to skip all of these stitches, and we are only working into that chain 1 space. And of course we are doing a double V stitch. So that's the 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Then we're going to jump over to the gap between our paws, and we're going to jump into, and then we're going to jump in and place our double V stitch in. It's very self-explanatory, to be honest. It's a beautiful, quick pattern. Over to the next. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, chain 1. Now it's a good idea at the end of each row to check that you have got the right amount of stitches. Because I'd hate for you, like me, to get halfway through a panel to find that row 3 didn't have that extra stitch in the V. And yes, I did actually manage to fudge it. I'm getting good with fudging. There will be a fudge it video at some point. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to skip down this side of the stitch and skip here. And we are going to place a double crochet into the top of that double crochet. Oh. There we go. Okay, so you are skipping 4 stitches there. And double crochet into the last. Okay, so that's how your square should be looking at the moment. Now we're on to the next row, and this next row is a repeat of the row before, and so it is a nice simple chain 1, turn your work, then we are going to pop a double crochet in, okay, double crochet into the next one, V stitch all the way along. When we get to the end of this row, we will be doing our colour change again. So do not complete that last double crochet and pop back and see me if you're scooting ahead. Pause as well. Oh, as you can see, I'm mucked up there. Oopsie daisy. Don't panic, I'm not too worried. It doesn't make too much of a difference, but I've done it on purpose, honestly I have, so you can see what it looks like. I'm sticking to it, and that's all there is to it. I think I've got a touch of Irish in me. Alright, so here we go. Skip our 3. Oh, sorry. There we go. Skip down the side, pop our double crochets in, but do not pull that last section because we will be changing back to green. Right, now it's time to scoot back by using that little chapter in the description box down below. This is our stitch repeat. So that is, I'll talk you through it quickly. That's a 1 row with our dropped down stitch, okay, and 2 further rows of just the V-stitch, making sure of course that you get that first and last little drop down section for the pause, and you remember to put them 2 double crochets in at the start and at the end of each row. Right, so change your yarn over now. I will meet you back here in a little while to tell you how many stitch repeats I needed to make this sample turn out the same size as this one. I will see you shortly. Quick visual, if you miss out this first or last one, this is what your edge will look like. Right, I'm going to pull these back now. Now doesn't that look better? Okay, so for the sample today, you are going to need to do 1, 2, 3 sets of cat stitches, okay? And now we are going to do the last 2 rows, which will square off the edges for us. Right, so we are going to do another repeat of this first row of the cat stitch. Okay, so once you've done that, meet me back here. Right, so and now we're going to work on to the next row. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, turn our work, place a double crochet into those first 2 double crochet stitches. Now what we're going to do is we are going to work to make this top section flat. So if of course if you did week number 9, it's exactly the same finishing method. If you didn't and you're working backwards, forwards, or just in a complete gobbledygook, let's get on with it. So okay, so now we are going to chain 2, place 2 single crochets around the chain 1 in the middle of our cluster, and chain 2, jump over to the next cluster, pop in 2 single crochets around that chain 1, now a chain 2, and we're going to keep repeating that for the length of the work. Oh, so that of course is 2 single crochets around that chain 1, then we chain 2 and we skip over. 2 single crochets, and chain 2, and once you get to the end, then we're going to place 2 double crochets in their normal spot, and those last 2 stitches of the row. Then, okay, now for this last row, we're going to chain up 1. We are going to turn our work, and then what we'll be doing is placing a single crochet, okay, in the top of these first 2 stitches here. Okay, we'll be working of course single crochet all the way along the row. You'll be putting either 2 single crochet around these chain spots here, or you can work into them, the choice is yours. I'm too lazy, I'm going round. Okay, so that is 2 single crochets in or around the chain, and then a single crochet into the top of each one of these singles from the row below, and we're just going to repeat that all the way down the work. So that is 2 in or around the chain, and 2 and 1 into each of the top of the 2 singles in the row below. Okay, I know I was going a bit slow. You're probably at the end of the row by now, know my luck. Speed up a little bit. Alright, coming up on these last 4 stitches, so that's a 2 in the chain, and then 1 into the top of each of the double crochets from the row below, making sure you get that last stitch. Then it's a case of chaining up 2, cutting off your yarn, which I'll do in a second, and scooching down your knot. Okay, then is a case of sewing in all them annoying ends, and then this square will be done. As you can see, mine's a little bit ropey because I've really rushed it, but the method is sound. It's just a case of sitting there and taking your time really with these paws to start with until you work your tension properly. At the moment this hand is not playing, and that's my tension hand, so I've got sciatica, it's running all the way down, so I can't actually feel my tension, which is why I'm going back to boring stitches that are really easy for the next video. Right, I'm gonna head off now. I will see you all really soon. If you can, please stay in, definitely stay safe. Ta-ra for now, everybody.